Not yet. Yeah, it's loading now. Yeah, I can see your screen. It's saying Oracle driver not found. We need to add the Oracle OJDBC 14.jar, not classes 12. But then again, classes 12 should also support because Tomcat uses that particular thing only. Username password has been different, I think so. So is it the same username and password? Can you please connect it once to your Oracle database? Man, your system got some huge applications. In the search, you can type run RUN SQL. No space. Okay, just remove run directly type SQL. Okay, type Oracle. Install అయిందా? You did you uninstall your application, Oracle. Okay, go to your. Okay, I'll just try to tell you where the other application would be. Just a minute, I got a call. अस्सलाम भाई. हाँ भाई. हाँ ठीक है भाई. अच्छा, जस्ट अ मोमेंट प्लीज, आई एम ऑन ए कॉल. हाँ ठीक है भाई, मैं फिलहाल तो नहीं कर सकता हूँ, 2 घंटे तक तो क्लास चल रही मेरी. उसको आप बोल दो ना भाई, मैं कर देता हूँ बोल के थोड़ी देर से. लाप्स. क्या? सॉरी, व्हाट वर यू सेइंग? No, it doesn't happens like that. I'll just tell you where it actually goes and sits by defaultly. See Oracle, go see Oracle exe. See Oracle exe app Oracle admin exe. Product 10.2. Okay, try this. Go to your C drive. Hello. Yeah. Did you got your Oracle? No, you need for that you need to have open your Oracle command prompt. But okay, I'm telling you a path. Just go through the part and then go to app, then Oracle product. You can see your version folder. Mine is learn. Yeah, open that server, and then bin, not database. Go to bin and just a minute. Bin folder is empty for you. Oh, very bad. Hmm. Okay, we'll do one thing. We'll go with MySQL. Do you have MySQL? Not. Yeah. No, not with anything else. And you just need to go ahead and check with that query or the one I have said you. select star from global name. In my case, it is XE, and basically it is the same thing in all the newly added systems. So even though, and I'll recommend instead of trying with the Oracle, go ahead and install MySQL. Because once a database, like I said earlier, once a database gets disturbed, it will not get easily installed or uninstalled. Yeah, even I am shocked. Without anyone's doing, how did it got uninstalled? No, mine is a free version. Oracle is a free version. For yeah, it's download it and directly use it. Yeah, for developers, they doesn't charge anything. For companies, they do charge. Like for learning purposes, it's a free thing. Yeah, in the Oracle website only I did download it. But if you don't get it, don't waste your time behind Oracle. Just go ahead and work with the MySQL. Because I know these databases takes a lot of time. You need to go and remove each and every entry, and that's a very big headache problem. Okay, you can stop your screen sharing and I'll start mine. Are you able to view my screen? Okay, in yesterday's class we had some leftover with the HQL. So we'll do one thing, we'll just go through with the HQL once again and we'll see what is left over, and even we'll get some revision. Because as I stated yesterday, HQL is a very much important concept of Hibernate. This is a thing what we actually use in the real time. Okay, so HQL is the most popular persistent technique in Hibernate programming. Hibernate query language is database independent, and we query based on POJOs, not as tables. Using HQL, we query on the POJOs. HQL queries are similar to the SQL, Oracle SQL, and we had seen some of the sample examples of HQL. Select star from employee in SQL would be from MPB in HQL, and we have seen that if we want if you want to write select or any classes names, we specifying the alias name is a mandatory, right sir? Hello. So string values must be wrapped in a single quote. We can even use aggregate functions like count, max, min, average, sum, and HQL internally uses AST query translator to convert it into the respective database SQL queries. And we can have list or iterate method to iterate over the query object. List method is early loading, iterate was lazy loading. For non-select we use execute update, and we have seen some differences. Uh, JDBC code select queries execution. And we have seen that in JDBC result set object wasn't serialized, but in HQL we get a list and that is serialized, so we can send it over the frameworks or networks. Input to HQL queries can be given in two forms. One was named parameters, other was positional parameters. Again, named parameters was recommended to use. We have seen the reasons. In short, the named parameters gave us some extra methods than the positional parameters. And we have seen set parameter, we have seen set string, set in, set float kind of examples. And this example we have not seen. I have just said you this set property. We could directly set the property in a query, but there's one condition to be met if you want to use this. In the query, the named parameter should match our class member variable name. If you want to use set property method, set properties method, then our named parameter in the query should match the our class variable member name. Let us just have a sample code, look at the sample code, so it will be more clear. Where was that? HB named parameter query select where like subquery set property. Yeah, this the same thing, just as the refreshment. We got a student bean mapped to the student table. It got 3 records: SID, SName and total marks. And this is my mapping file. Table got SID, SName and total marks. This is my table BESCSTU SID, SName, total marks. Okay. Now in the main class, as you can see, my query is select from student bean as st, where st.name equal to :sname. Now if I want to use this particular method set properties, then the positional parameter, the name parameter should be equal to this, equal to the class name, the whatever property name I am going to use, sname. This variable name and our main query name should be same, equal. Okay, are you clear? Then only we can use set properties method. So I have created my student bean, I have set the name, then I said create query, and for the query I set the properties what I am creating. So in short, I want to retrieve the student records whose name is O. Okay, then after in the below I am just printing it out. Okay, let me just go ahead and change this. Let us say st. Now let us just see what happens. So it is saying like st hasn't been set. Not all named parameters have been set. So that was the thing what I was saying. If we want to use query.setProperty method, it is very much mandatory for us to have the named parameters similar to our class name variables. So then again we got our output. Okay, so did you got what I said? Because the screen wasn't loaded. Okay, no, I'm saying like I have changed this particular value. So earlier, did you understand what I said? Yeah, that's it. So that was my point. Here, the set properties method is not supported by positional parameter. The set properties method is only supported by named parameters. This method is only present in named parameters, and named parameters must have placeholder name same as class property name. And we have changed it, and we saw that we got an error specifying that all of your query position parameters have been set the values. We got one more very much good thing in Hibernate, that is pagination, because pagination nowadays is a very complex thing if we try to do it ourselves, because no, in MySQL you got limit thing, and in Oracle you got top, you got bottom. So if you want to do pagination, if you want to do pagination ourselves, then we need to write different queries for different databases. It's a very big headache. Believe me, we did this, and in our previous company, we had DB grid, and for that DB grid, we customized as our own, and we started using it. There was a free version of DB grid in the market. We used that DB grid, and for that, we had added the pagination concept. And then what happened? In suddenly, it's in the middle. Initially, we were using MySQL. They came requirements of our superiors had came and said us, you now you even have to use Oracle for the same DB grid. uh, it was a very much big headache. Okay, okay. Anyhow, then again they have power backup, that's a good thing, at least. Okay, we were talking about pagination, and I was saying you about some of my previous problem I got with my pagination. Yeah, DB grid. DB grid is actually used to display the database record in the UI in HTML form. There are many available DB grids in the market. If you want, you can go ahead and have a research, and it's very much common in nowadays. Like almost every application has a DB grid. Almost every MVC application must and should have a DB grid. That's what a very much common thing nowadays. So the problem what we had is like we initially used MySQL database, so we made the queries uh, as per MySQL database. Then again our superiors came and they said like even you have to write the queries for Oracle, change the DB grid to Oracle. So they said like they'll only provide a single parameter, what is the database name. So what we had to do was we kept the whole thing in a switch case block, switch if it is whatever it is. So that was a very burden thing for us. Hello. Okay, so we even had the idea of using pagination, but then again they'll not allowed us, they wouldn't have allowed us. Only for using pagination we can't change the whole application background. So if we had pagination at that time, it would have almost saved us like 2 to 3 days of hard work, because pagination provides us that much power, because it's as Hibernate is database independent, plus we even get pagination for every database. Okay, so do you have an idea of pagination? Yeah, only a page will contain some limited records like 10 or 20. That would also be configurable by us only. Okay, so to work with the pagination we need to set two values. First is the index, second is the page size. Index always starts with 0, which points to the first record. and page size will be fixed for every page, like 4 records, 5 records, 10 records, 20 records. You can even let user to modify this value, but it's a very rare case. To set index, we need to call a method called set first result. Yeah, in OLX also the same filter they are giving. And earlier in Gmail also the same thing was available, but now they have removed it. How many mails you want to see per page? 50 or 200? But now I think even Gmail guys has removed that, but earlier it was present with the Gmail. So it's a rare case, very rare case, because we don't give user that much of flexibility, because if he goes and type 1000, then again it's a very big query for our database. Our resources would be very much consumed by him. So that's the reason why it's a rare case. So to set the index, we need to call a method set first result. And to set page size, we need to call a method set max results. So from where to where, it's simple like that. Set first result specifies from where, and set max results specifies to where, like maximum how many, starting from where. It's more like that. Okay, set first result, set max results. So we'll see an example on page nation. And just even remember this particular formula. Next page would be equal to something like index equal to index plus page size. So these are in like if we give user some functions, like we'll give in page nation option, we'll even let him to go next page or previous page, right? So if he clicks on next page, what should happen? We should come in our backend and do this thing, index equal to index plus page size. The simple formula. It actually takes him to the next page. That's it. The page size and index gets increases. That's it. Okay. And previous page would be index equal to index minus page size. And we always have to check out for the first records and the last records. So if he's already viewing the first page, if he clicks on the previous page, we in the grid itself, without hitting the database or the Hibernate, without letting him come to the Hibernate, using some jQuery and JavaScript, we need to stop him. You are already viewing the first page, where else he will go to the previous page. Or we should not give the previous page button in the first page, and we should not give next page button in the last page, because user is always a dummy fellow in my sense. I'll always think user will give wrong input, so that I can do some more validation. Okay, HQL filter, not filter, page nation. Here we have our page nation for the same record, same student pin, and everything else is the same. Okay, so I jump to the main application. So I got my record. I want name and IDs from the table. Created the query. I have set the index to be 1 and page size to be 4. As said, index is 0 based. Okay, if I say 1, I'll get the second record. So set first result from 1, it means from the second record till the fourth record. I want these results to be printed out in my console. So 3 2 3 2 4 6. Let us just check. So as you can see, 3 2 4 6. From the second record, 4 records we have gone. 3 2 4 6. If I would have given 0 over here in the index part, If I would have given like this, then I would have get from the first thing. So let us just apply the next page formula what we have seen earlier. Next page was index should be index plus page size. I mean previous index plus previous page size. Let us go ahead and apply that formula. Index should be index 0 plus page size 4. So this should be it. So let us just directly give us 4. Okay. So if we execute it, we'll get the next page records. So to keep it short, these we should keep these index and page size values. We need to give some default values. Then after whenever he clicks, for that we need to give some Ajax calls or even form submits, whatever is comfortable for us. And then we just need to increment those page size and index values, whatever the values come from the user based on the operations what he does. Now if we had this option, that would have really saved us very much time at that time, but then again we can't do anything. So using filters we can configure conditions in mapping file. We have already seen this, but I didn't had a 50 slide for filter, so I've just added the filter slide. Okay, we have seen filter, like we can configure filter in XML file. We can give some values if we want, or we have given the less than colon lt and lt colon semicolon. Yeah, so using filters we can configure conditions in mapping file. These conditions can be enabled or disabled at runtime of the program. So this is a plus point what we get if we go to the filters, and we don't get this plus point when we go to the where condition in our query. We cannot enable or disable them, but in filters we can enable or disable them. So when filter is enabled, condition will be applied and it displays the record which satisfies the condition. When we disable filter, then condition will not be applied and the record will be displayed, all the records without filter. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Each page you want 5 records. Okay, let us consider the same thing. So it would be better if we make some UI. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just explain you the logic. You take it as an assignment. If you are not able to do it, I'll do that same program for you. Okay, let us just make it a notepad. Assignment number 2. Assignment number 2. So here's I want the same your requirements. I'm writing it in a formal words. I want a HTML page. For this assignment number 2 requires is for pagination concept. Come on, man. Pagination. I think there's a spelling mistake. Okay. So HTML page. I want a HTML page to display records, and I want HB application that performs pagination. Okay, so in HB application tip, let us say tip, in HB application what we have to do is we need to set initial values for index and next page. Index will give default value of index, I want it to be 0, and page size value, page size value I want to be pi r. So whenever the user, let us say he clicks on the next page, so index should be previous index plus page size. And if he clicks on next button, next page operation, okay, and previous page operation, previous page operation, when he clicks, we just need to change the index and retrieve the records. That's it. We are not doing anything special. Okay, so here index should be previous index or the index retrieved, I will say, whatever the index will retrieve from the UI. Okay, retrieved index, I'll say retrieved index minus page size. And to give some validations, we'll say this: do not show previous page option in first page and next page option in last page. Okay, so user will not be kidding around, he cannot do any more things. Okay, even if we show, we'll do some validations. And here's what we'll do in the program. I'll just give you something. So let us say we got initial value as 0 and we got 5 records. So this will be our basic thing, and instead of displaying in the console, we will be displaying in the UI. Yeah, number of records that should be displayed in the page. So whenever user clicks on next button, let us say he got a next button, he clicked on it, so we'll get the index and the page size, both the things. So we'll have the page size and the index. The page size would be 5 plus the index would be 0. Sorry, 0 plus 5. As per our formula, 0 plus 5. So it would be 5. So when we execute this again, the user will get this again. Now the index value is 5, page size is 5. Let us say he clicked on next again. Okay, so index would be, next page would be index plus user index plus page size. User index 5 plus page size 5. So now my index would be 10. Alt Shift X and J. So I'll get the next records again. So let us say he clicked on previous page. Okay, there's a previous page button. If he clicked on the previous page, it would be index minus page size. Index would be 10 minus page size 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. So in this way we'll write our logic. We'll just keep on changing index, that's it. We are not changing anything else. That's it. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing more to the page nation. Actually, there's a lot of headache more to the page nation, but Hibernate made it simple. Yeah, if you ever just try it with JDBC, so that you can understand how much complex it is. Yeah, and I'll even mail it the same thing to Jyoti. So we have even seen what is pagination. Okay. Yeah, pagination is almost in every project. Every MVC project, almost every MVC project will have pagination. Yeah. Not only in retail website, in railway stations, in banking applications, and in hospital managements, in emails, even Facebook got page nation. So almost every MVC application, there would be very rare websites who will not have page nation. So page nation is a very common thing and very complex thing also. Mm. Sure, I'll do. Yeah. So obviously, and so with this we have finished our HQL thing. So let us just go with an overview once again with an HQL so that we'll have a revision of HQL and we'll move forward with the next of our multi-row operation. I am just revising HQL because HQL is very much important and HQL is what we use in our projects commonly. For because we always do multi-row operations and there are three options only provided by Hibernate, and out of three HQL is the mostly used one. And HQL is nothing but we use HQL to query on POJOs instead of we query on the database tables. Using HQL, we can almost write queries as similar as Oracle. So HQL should have alias names when we have select keyword or either POJO name or bean name or even our bean property names in our query. HQL can have filters which can be configurable and which can be turned on and off at a runtime of the program. HQL can do all the basic operations like CURD, create, insert, update, and delete. And HQL can have placeholders and positional parameters to set the values at the runtime of the program. And then again, named parameters are recommended to use over positional parameters because named parameters give us a lot of flexibility than positional parameters. And HQL has pagination concept. Just now we have seen the advantages of pagination. In HQL we have loading of the database records in two ways. One is early loading and one is lazy loading. Lazy loading happens by when we use iterate method. Early loading happens when we use list method. And lazy loading doesn't happen when we have only specific number of records. Okay, so we can have subqueries even in our HQL. Yeah. Okay, let us say your customer, your client have given you lots of record, which is a very common thing in nowadays. Client doesn't give us a very little data. He'll always gives us huge data, and it's a very common thing. Like client complains us, he got a problem somewhere. He never pinpoints that this is the problem. He'll always says I got this kind of problem. He'll never pinpoint us that he got in that page, in that record, he got that problem. He'll never pinpoint that. Clients are always, I like this. I don't like this thing in about clients. They are never hardworking guys. They always want programmers and testers to do the hard work. They'll sit and they are always like this. They are more about the increase about of their business. They'll not even concentrate about what we are doing, and they'll not even bother about how we do. So it's a very common problem we always used to have in our projects. They come and say in that particular module we have that problem, so please go ahead and see. So we need to ask, so what did you do, when did it happen, so we need to do some test cases. Okay, he did that, so something like that happened. We have crores of data, man. How much can we do that? So at that time what we can have, like, to reduce the crores of data to some hundreds of data, you could keep a simple filter. So now instead of querying on the crores of data, we can query on hundreds of data. And when giving the program back to the client, we will not enable the filter, we will disable the filter and giving, we will handle him back to himself after resolving the problem. Yes, we'll find out the problem by disabling the filter. We'll find out the problem, we'll resolve the problem. Okay, let me give you some more specific example. Client has set some problem in a record which is at 2 lakh 71 position, and he came to us and he has given very much basic information, like with Aircel record I got a problem, and there was Andhra Pradesh user data wasn't inserting, and he was getting some wrong recommendations. He'll just say that. So in our course of data, we need to filter out the Andhra Pradesh data. Again, in Andhra Pradesh data, we need to check which data he had checked. So we need to do some we check with our cross check or audit logs, because we always capture what he was doing. Do you know? Do you have idea about audit logs? Yeah, audit logs. We'll keep a track of like what our client was doing in our software. Whenever an insert operation happens, we'll keep a record in our database that client has done insert operation. When he selects, we'll keep an operation client has viewed. When he updates, we'll keep an operation in database that client has updated. So whatever, if he touches our website or our software, we'll even keep a track of like client has touched our software. So we'll go and cross check in our audit logs with the AP records when did he check, and then again in the AP record which IDs he had checked. So we'll get an idea where should we filter our crores of data, right? So we'll find out the problem. The problem was nothing but he got some missing codes or some character problem, encoding problem, let us say. So we have sorted out that encoding problem, and we have inserted the data back into his database, and we call the client. We have showed him the result, and we are doing this all by enabling filters. We enabled filter based on the AP and based on the audit logs. We got a criteria where we have to apply the filter. Okay, so I'm just showing a scenario where we should use filter, how perfectly we can use filter. So once we had used our filter, we need not to go ahead and change the code and remove the filter. We just need to disable the filter and handle him back. Because why we shouldn't remove? Because he'll come again with some new problems. So whenever he come again with the new problems, we'll ask him what is the problem. We'll check with the audit logs. We'll go ahead and change the filter condition and resolve his problem. Disable the filter. Give the code back to him. So filters becomes very much handy in these kind of situations. Otherwise, what we happens, we need to check, even if you want to check the data, that much huge data, it's a very much again time taking task from the programming itself, because we have to do conditional debugging, and conditional debugging is always time consuming task. Okay. Anything else do you want to know about HQL? So okay, I think you even got your assignment on HQL, and you even got your assignment on basic card operations. So if possible, do like this. Combine the basic bank application, whatever we had thought of at that time. Combine that with this pagination concept. So just go ahead and create a sample bank table, insert some columns, insert some records. I'm not even concerned what data it is, even it can be some dummy data. So just apply some CURD operations and just give pagination. Two concepts. Not even UI should look very much beautiful. It can be anyhow. We are, yeah, just I don't want some colors. I don't want some beautiful CSS. I don't want nothing. Yeah, we should be perfect at backend. We want the Hibernate logic to be skilled, toned. No, actually, I think there are even many jobs which don't require Hibernate. Yeah, but Hibernate is popular. I'll agree with you. But like without Hibernate, there is no job. But if you are an experienced guy, so that Hibernate would be a must and should. But for freshers, the Hibernate is again an plus point thing. If you don't have, even they'll take, because in even in our company we are not considering, even now we are not considering Hibernate, because we went at such a level of JDBC. We can't just roll back everything, and we have to do kind of like re-engineering if you want to come to Hibernate. So even there are projects like our company got many projects, but so but even then again, newer projects, whatever the new projects are coming, they are always interested to work with Hibernate. The reason, because the plus point which Hibernate is giving, no other persistent software is giving now in market. Even EJB is good, but then again EJB is heavyweight. Even EJB got lots of drawbacks. Hmm? Yeah, EJB container is required, and it got lots of drawbacks. Actually, the person who developed Hibernate, his name what, Gavin King, Mr. Gavin King, he developed Hibernate to overcome the drawbacks of EJB. That too, second version. So he obviously know, he was an employee of the company who developed the EJB. So even while developing EJB, he was the part of it, and he said them like we are making EJB very much burden thing. We shouldn't do this. EJB can be developed in other way. He said it once, twice, thrice, fourth. They didn't listen to him, and they thought this guy is very much irritating. They even kicked him out of the company. And then again, Mr. Gavin King wasn't a weak hearted person. He was a very strong hearted person. He came out, he developed a new technology called Hibernate, which even nowadays he overcome EJB, the whole company itself. Yeah, even I get, goosebumps when I talk about him, when I even think about him. What a guy he is. Then again, it's a drawback to the company. Company should have listened to him. But yeah, yeah, even politics. Everywhere, even in our company also, I have lot of calls with my team leader. I say something, he say, what do you think? You are greater than me, I have a better solution. Are, yes sir, that is a better solution, let us give a try. Let us give a try for your solution. Let us give a try for my solution. We don't have time that much. भाड़ में जाओ. I think end of the day, भाड़ में जाओ, मेरी कंपनी तो है नहीं. Yeah, people they think themselves like I got 10 years, I got 11 years, I got 20 years experience. I know that much. What this fellow can know possibly? I have seen the whole world of programming. This is a new chicken in the programming. He knows nothing. So actually, it's a very bad thing that shouldn't be done, and we always have to be try to be good in, because in programming, especially in Java programming, we are always earning ourselves based on free income. Java is free, Hibernate free, Spring free, everything free, man. Come on, we have become rich guys based on free. We should at least be kind of humble to some other guys. We should spread these things to some other guys. We should be at least that good in our. Yeah. Circle is a business company. We can't say when it's going to do things. And even James Gosling left our left Java platform as of now. Okay, so that's apart from Hibernate discussion. So we think we need to come back to our Hibernate discussion. So I even developed the you know architecture thing, but I think having a look at the architecture is very much comfortable. It will be very much comfortable once we complete our Hibernate session, so that we'll have a clear idea about every module, so we can in-depthly understand the architecture. So we'll go with this thing. Okay, not this thing. Where is criteria API? As you can see from our HQL PPT, I have mentioned initially there are three ways to do the multi-row operations. One was HQL, now with which we are very much comfortable. Am I right? So the other option is criteria API. So we'll see what is criteria API in today's session. Using criteria API, we can read multiple records at a time with a single method call. Here, mainly, we can work with two objects. One is criteria, second is criterion. Criteria, using this object, we can configure two things. One is bean class name, by using which we have to retrieve the records. And again is adding criterion objects. Criterion objects can be created in many ways. We can work with static methods of these classes, restrictions classes. So to keep it simple, I'll say like this: there might be many developers like me who doesn't have very much in-depth logic knowledge of SQL and SQL language. They'll have very basic knowledge of SQL language. So criteria API is for the persons like me who doesn't know much of SQL. So using criteria API without writing queries, I can give conditions, I can retrieve records, I can say here are some method names so that we can understand it more clearly. So I can retrieve records, then I can give where condition greater than or equal to. I'll apply this method GE. I'll apply any method not equal to. Some I'll give some more condition not equal to something, less than or equal to something, greater than something, less than or equal to something, LE less than or equal to, GT greater than, LT less than, NE not equal, GE greater than or equal to. So we get almost we can form almost every where condition. We can even add and or conditions, like conditions. So we can in short do all the SQL operations without writing queries at all. In HQL also we need to write HQL queries, right? What if my requirement is I don't want to write queries at all? Okay, go ahead and use criteria API. Okay, so we'll have a look on the first example, but let us just go through once with this PPT. So in like, here we can use wildcard characters, what we know from our basic SQL, percentile and underscore. and we have AND method to retrieve record which satisfies more than one condition. To retrieve record, and left hand side and right hand side both should satisfy, right? And condition, or condition to retrieve record which satisfies any one of two condition, either left or right, anyone should satisfy, we can retrieve the record. So and you can even see the name is very much convenient, restrictions. These are all the static methods present in the restrictions class. So the above restriction class methods works based up on Pojo class properties to specify conditions. Then again the same thing, we are not dealing with the database tables, we are dealing with our Pojo, with our beans. We'll query and our beans, will give condition on our beans. We'll do everything with our beans only. So even we got a method called SQL, expression.sql. Using this directly we can write database specific conditions. So if I know SQL, okay, then again if I don't know SQL also it's okay. If I know SQL also, criteria API had given support for me. There's a method called SQL. Using this we can directly write database specific conditions. We can write database column names. We can specify only conditions but not complete query. Where part, where, after where, the condition part, that to database specific query if you want to write, we can write it using expression.sql. Note that this is a database specific SQL. What we need to write is database SQL query we need to write, and we should write that particular query which to the database which we are going to connect. Otherwise obviously we'll get some exceptions. We cannot write a exception condition for MySQL and trying to connect to Oracle. Retrieve the records from Oracle and we are writing where condition of MySQL. Not gonna work. If it is compatible, then it's okay. Okay. So all the above specified method returns criterion object. Each criterion object contains some condition. Using criteria API, we can do retrieval of records by specifying condition or without condition. Okay, enough with the theory part. We'll just go ahead and see some uh, basic examples so that we can understand it more clearly. So once again we will see the theory part. So criteria basic. Where is the criteria basic? Criteria sample here. So the same thing, but to prove that, so I got the same student bin, same SID, same SNAME, same total marks, same configuration file connecting to the Oracle database, same mapping file mapping my student bin to the student table. Student table should have SID, SNAME, total marks. So this proves I'm using the same beans and the mapping file, but now as of main application, starting of the Hibernate software, configuring this thing, creating the session factory, creating the sessions, getting the session from the session factory. Now this is a new line. Criteria is a object and this is created by session.createCriteria. I want to create the criteria of student bean class. So when I say ct.list, I'll get the list of all the records from the database for student bean class instead student table. Isn't this simple? Because I'm not writing anywhere query. I just said create criteria for student bean class and I'm just saying criteria.list method. So let us just execute this. So I got all of my records. So isn't as of now we thought HQL was easy. So it seems like Hibernate got us very much easy thing more than HQL. We got criteria API, which is even far more easy than HQL, isn't this? Yeah, yeah. In the coming session, in the more programs you can see. Yeah, this was just a basic thing. The basic thing we should start a step by step thing. So that's what I was doing. Just a moment. हाँ माँ just टोपी हो ना ले लो नहीं हो ना मैं पहनूं okay sorry about that. There's a cute little boy of our owners. He just came and he was asking तुम क्या कर रही. I love children. जाओ भैया पढ़ ले रहे भैया काम कर रहे भैया आपके साथ बाद में मिलते हैं आंटी के पास जाओ आंटी के पास. Okay, we'll see the next example. So and restrictions basic. We'll see how to actually create a restriction object. So we have seen this. We have seen how to create a criteria object. Earlier we said criteria.list. Now these two lines are new for us. So earlier we didn't had these two lines. Now we are having these two lines. So now to create a criterion object, we must use the static methods of restrictions. The same point from the PPT I am saying, and the same point I have written in the programming way. To create a criterion object, we need to use the static methods of restrictions class. And on the criterion object, I can perform add, my where conditions apply. So using criterion objects, I could apply where conditions on the criteria object. For the criteria object, I am adding some condition. And this condition is nothing but an object of criterion object, and criterion object is created by the static methods of restrictions class. Okay, so the restriction, the where condition here is the condition should be greater than, or yeah, only greater than, total marks should be greater than this thing. Total marks is our variable, is a member field, a property of our bean class. So let us see whether in yeah, property name and the condition, how much do you want to be. The first method, it is the property name and the value. Property name and value. So just as we thought we are about to think that HQL was easy, we are seeing some things even easier than HQL. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Mostly HQL is used. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a guy from the queries. I'm not good with the queries. I don't know at all. I don't know the yes of the SQL. So criteria is an only option for me. I know a little bit of Oracle type SQL, and then I need to go for HQL. Okay. So let us. I was just seeing whether database got any record with this satisfying this. Yeah, I got one record only, the FFF record, the Shaktiman's brother. So mostly he will be printed out over here. 7F 720. Yesterday I didn't deleted that record. Okay, so yeah, it should retrieve all things. LT. Man, you're fast. నెక్స్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్తో చెప్పబోయేది మీరు ఇప్పుడే చేపించేస్తున్నారు. ఓకే, సో we got all the records which are whose values are less than, sorry, less than this particular condition. So let us just go back to our PPT. Now if we see the same points again, it will make a lot of meaning for us. So criteria, using its object we can configure two things: a bean class, which we have, by using which we have to retrieve records, and criterion object we can add. Criterion object can be created in many ways using the static methods of restriction class, as we have seen restriction.gt, restriction.lt, two methods we have seen. Okay, and following the criterion object which we get from the static methods of this, we add that criterion object to our criteria class. So finally we'll execute our criteria object. How we did execute in our example, we just said criteria object dot list. Okay, so independent, yeah, Hibernate itself is database independent. So obviously everything in Hibernate is database independent, but there are some things like we got a method called SQL. Here in this we can give database specific query, so that wouldn't be in that places Hibernate wouldn't be database independent. Hibernate becomes database dependent, but then again it has been done like this by us. And there's one more thing, the next concept, using that also we can give database specific queries. So at that moment also Hibernate becomes database independent. And the next topic would be native SQL. As the name specifies, we'll write native SQL queries for Hibernates, using Hibernates. Okay, so note, first point, the above restriction class method works based on Pojo class properties to specify conditions. As we had seen, tot underscore m, that was a property of our Pojo class. So the same thing we are specifying over here. Restriction static methods works on the Pojo properties. So expression.sql is a method. Using this method directly we can write database specific conditions, but we can't write the whole query over here. We just need to specify the condition part, where part. Another note, all the above specified methods, the previous things, okay, returns criterion object. As we have already seen, criterion object was created by static methods of the restrictions class. Each criterion object contains some condition. As we have already seen, as a criterion object is generated by the static methods of restriction class, and these methods takes parameters as conditions. So these condition objects were assigned to the criterion. So obviously criterion object will have some condition. Using criteria API, we can do retrieval of records by specifying condition or without condition. Our first program was retrieval of records without condition, and our next programs were retrieval of records with condition. Am I right? So let us just see some more examples on criteria API. Okay, let us go with the R. Yeah, R would be very much basic for us. So I want something like this. I have created the criteria object using session.create criteria. Then I have some static methods of restriction class giving some conditions, and this returns me the criterion object, and criterion object is an object which holds some condition. I'm just repeating the PPT points. That's it. Okay. Pinpointing to my programs, I'm repeating the PPT points so that what we had studied earlier can be mapped to the program. So here the condition is total marks should be less than this particular thing, and yes name should be in these particular things. As yes name is an string, that's why we have given an array of string. If you want the sid, I would have given new integer of array. So whatever the data type it is, the same array should be given if I am using in. Is it okay? So I want to do or between these two conditions. So I want to retrieve the records whose total marks is less than 102 or whose yes name is in sci or pops. Yeah. So then again, end of the day, I want a criterion object that should be added to the criteria object. So this particular or object which has or between other two criterion objects, I am giving it to the criteria. The same thing again, city.list. So now I am executing this. So I got many records. Okay. Yeah, if I want to give and, I would have given here and. That's it. So I want the records whose marks is less than 102 point some value and whose name is in this thing, this condition and this condition, where total marks is less than 102 and s name in this thing. So if you execute this, we will get some less records. Okay, there's not even a one record. Let me just increase this. Okay, Sai. No, it was not Sai. It was, the name was, let me just name the name. Yeah, some names I got. Let me just check the. Okay, I got a record. We are not even considering the output because we know we'll get the output. We are just considering the methods, the logic of Hibernate. So this logic, is it clear for you? These four lines. So that's good to hear. Hmm. 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 Yes. Using the session object, I created the criteria, and then using the restrictions object, I created a criterion. Now these two are different objects. Criteria is something which can execute queries, which can execute, but criterion is an object which holds conditions. Now we can add criterion object to the criteria object, condition object to the object which is going to be executed. So ct criteria object is going to be executed, so I want to add a condition object. Condition object is this. So then again, this condition object is nothing but combination of these two condition objects. These two condition objects are created by restriction statics method, which gives some where condition. Okay. So shall we proceed with and restrictions.r similarly? Obviously we did there only, but I have written a dedicated program for that also. The same program. I've created a criteria object, created some conditions using the static methods of restrictions class. Then again, I have, instead of applying or, I have applied and on the two condition objects. With that again, I got one more condition object. If I want, I can go ahead and add one more condition over here, and I can say this condition and the newer condition. So there's no limit how many where conditions I can give, the same as the SQL query. But then again, SQL query max limit is dependent to the databases. Like in MySQL, the query max limit can only be 65,000 characters. So even if you are going to connect to the MySQL database, and if you are giving
many restrictions, and end of the day you are getting an SQL query which is going to be executed in the MySQL database. You should keep this point in your mind that your conditions should not be that many which will make the final query characters to be greater than 65,000. Okay, so uh, uh, actually your voice is very much breaking. I wasn't able to hear you properly. No, no, again your voice is very much disturbing. Okay, give me a second. I think my Wi-Fi has been disturbed. I'll just recheck it and come. Okay, I'm just cutting up the call and I'll call you back. Okay, just a moment. बाबा ये क्या कर रहे हैं आप? क्लास ले रहा हूँ. कब तक नको करो. बाबा हाँ टोकन छोटी नको करो ना. तब तक नको करो, बाद में करो. आपकी क्लास चल रही है मेरी, बोल रहा हूँ मैं आपको. Yeah, is my voice audible? Yeah, you are saying something. Please continue. Okay. Yes. Hmm. Hmm. Actually, I am telling you this. Select star from student. This is our basic query. We are giving here where SID equal to something 123 or S name equal to something. Okay. So now if we count the characters, how many characters would this be? So yeah, even higher. Yes. No, I actually said you the basic thing. Actually, here this query cannot have value greater than 65,000 characters. This or this or the same thing again or I'll just copy paste this. So now this query characters cannot be greater than 65,000. Whether you created, I created, Hibernate created, Spring created, anybody created. MySQL database cannot accept the query characters, the query whose length is greater than 65,000 characters, irrespective of who created. So my worry was this: if we go on adding multiple ands, multiple ors, it would create a query whose length is greater than 65,000 characters. So obviously the database will not execute it. So that is one thing we need to check for, I was saying. So we always need to make up our conditions very much smartly, so that we'll make within less conditions we can give, so that our requirement fits in. Obviously we'll never face such a problem, but it is a very rare condition. But then again, it should be, we should have keep this point in mind. Okay, so we this is and. So let me just go ahead and execute, because I didn't executed this earlier, did I? Okay, yeah, and one. Okay, this program I have just now executed and I got my output. Okay, and one more thing I wanted you to observe: even criteria API, even the basic, even the HQL, all of them generates the compile queries. You can see here I have a question mark, then I have question mark here, I have a question marks here. Okay, so even these criteria API, even HQL, and even basic things like save, update, insert, all of them generates compiled queries. So multiple conditions or multiple, I got multiple odds. Let us see how to give multiple odds. So the same thing, create a criteria object, create a criterion object from the restrictions. I got three restrictions, I got three conditions, I got one criteria object which is or of one condition and condition 2, or between 1 and 2. Okay, now I got or condition which is or condition between this condition and this condition. Yeah, two parameters only, but if you want you can go ahead and do or and or and or. Obviously in our SQL also we'll give or between two conditions only. In our SQL query we cannot give or between more than two conditions. So if we want to or between three things, what we'll do is we'll make or between two things, and the result of these two things will or it with the third thing, right? If there are, yeah, this is my condition number 1. SID should be 23. This is my, I'll not specify or. This is my condition number 2. SID name should be this. This is my condition number 3. Marks TOT underscore marks should be something point something. Yeah, that's it. So this is, I want to apply or between these three. So even if I go ahead and write like this or, so it is nothing but like I'm clubbing this thing, and the result of this I'm doing or with the final thing. So or and either operations are always between two things only in our SQL. So if we understand that or and on is happening between which and which in SQL, so the same thing we can apply in our criteria API. So the same thing I did here. I wanted to have between these, in between these two I wanted to have or, and the result of these two I wanted to have or with condition 3. So here's the same thing, or between condition 1 and 2, the result will be holded by this object. So with this object I want to or with condition 3. So finally ct dot add the condition and then execute. So I'm just executing this to see I'm getting some output or not. Okay, I got huge output because it's a or condition, right? If any one of them satisfies, I'll get all of them. So that was or, and this is restriction multiple condition. This is mostly with and. Yeah, if we are not specifying or, then it's basically and. Okay, so creating a criteria object, creating two condition objects, and we are directly adding it, these condition objects to the criteria. So this is nothing but restrictions whose marks are greater than 101 and whose name is F, whose name is like F, the brother of the Shaktiman. So we got the brother of Shaktiman. Okay, is it okay with you? Multiple ants. It's very much convenient because you are from a programming background. I'm not having much time to explain the programs. Otherwise, yeah, no, no. Otherwise, what happens, the other guys, whoever I'm teaching, I need to draw a sample program, sorry, sample diagram for the same application. Sorry, for the same kind of applications, just go ahead, instead of R, I'll remove R, I'll keep and. We are doing R and we are doing and. They'll think like that. But as of now, you are from a programming background. Believe me, it almost saved me 50% of the time. If I used to, hmm, actually, the people were like, even I have come to teach who just know core Java, who are learning JDBC and came to learn Hibernate. Nowadays, learning things parallelly is a, kind of fashion between students. They think I learn quickly, I learn quickly. I always request them, don't do simultaneous classes. You will not get any of the concept at the end of the day, but they don't listen at all. They want earn too early. I want job, I want job, I want money, I want money. ఏం చేసుకుంటారా నాయన చేసుకోకుండా అని చెప్తాను నేను. So then again, the thing was I was saying, it saved me a lot of time. You being an experienced guy, so restriction or multiple we have already seen. So SQL, we haven't seen this. SQL, we have talked about SQL. As you can see, it is a deprecated one, so we shouldn't use it. But if we have anytime requirement, if you can directly go ahead and use the SQL thing. Okay, yeah, no, this method generally in criteria API, every method is in the restrictions class, but here SQL is a method present in expression class. So only difference is that. So then again, instead of being restrictions method, it is an expression method. Then again also the return type is a criterion object. Okay, so if I use this, I can give only where conditions. I cannot write the whole part. I can only give the condition part. So I have directly started with the condition s name like F and or s name in FFF or Kankada. So it's similar to like where s name like F or s name in this thing. from our PPT, we have studied that SQL cannot give the whole condition. It can only, sorry, the whole query. It can only give the condition part. So directly again adding this condition object to the criteria object and executing the criteria object using list. Note iterate is not supported with criteria. No lazy loading here. Okay. Iterate method is present in HQL but not in criteria API. So I got a record according to my requirements. Even whatever the list contains, we'll iterate. That's it. The list may contain 2 records. We need to iterate it. The list may contain 200 records. Hmm. Yeah. Obviously, there's a performance issue if we have crores of data. But then again, that's the reason why we have condition objects. We shouldn't retrieve crores of data. We should require only that uh, retrieve those records with less. We should retrieve lesser amount of records. That's the reason why we have criterion objects, right? We should make perfect use of them. Hmm. Okay, okay. Yeah. So that's the final thing with the restrictions. We have seen even the restrictions. So I don't have any more examples to show on the restrictions. That's what it is with the restrictions. Okay. I mean with the criteria API. So with this, we'll close our today's session, and again I'll send the examples at all the resources to my office, and please do install MySQL database and try to execute the basic banking application. Yeah, you are actually evolving. Yeah, that's a good thing because you are seeing mistakes and you are able to solve it. Means yeah, obviously that's only an yeah, even I'm not aware of about that. How does Windows 8? Because I have never worked with Windows 8. I don't like at all Windows 8. Mhm. Okay. If you take my suggestion, I would say stick with Windows 7 only, because even in Windows 7 you can see control panel, you can see program files, you can see start things. You can do multiple things which a programmer needs to do. Obviously, in our companies, we'll got some IT guys, but in our laptops we do not have any IT guys support, so we need to do that. So if we go with the Windows 7 thing again, we'll have all the basic things anyhow. We'll can even surf internet. We can do all the basic things. We doesn't get some good UI. That's it. Hmm. Yeah, even I did got the same offer. They told me Windows, my Samsung laptop was something around like 28,000 or 26,000. They said me they'll give me Windows 8 support. I said, don't give me Windows 8 support. Give me the laptop in the same price, in the just with without OS, because I did had no, I have seen my friends having the problems with the Windows 8. They struggled a lot where the programs to install and the Java installation, these database installations, everything was complex in Windows 8. So having Windows 7 will only proves as a developer as a plus point. Yeah, okay. If it doesn't, you can let me know. We'll try something else. We'll sort it out somehow, because you should be able to do execute programs. Okay. So MySQL, try to install MySQL. Okay. So we'll meet today evening again at 8:30 p.m. Till then, take care.